Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Live Dive. I hope you had a great weekend and that you're having a good week so far this week. Before we dive into scriptures for tonight, got some announcements for you, just the usual ones I've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. One is remember that the Bridge does have a mission trip for you this coming summer. It is to the island of St. Croix, a beautiful island, but it does have a lot of suffering people from the hurricanes and also a lot of single parents on the island, and we will be ministering to them. That will be this July, it looks like, but we will give you more details as they come along. So remember, the Bridge mission trip this summer is to St. Croix. And as always, remember, I'm very excited to take you guys to the Passion Conference next January. It will be in Atlanta. It's in a couple other locations as well, but Atlanta is the closest one to us. All you have to worry about is paying for the food and also for the actual event. It's $139, but we will whittle down the cost as we will have some fundraisers over the next few months. I will let you know of a deadline of when you need to at least let me know that you want to join. But here's the thing, you need to let me know as soon as you can, because this is a hot event, the event for Christians ages 18 to 25 to go to, so you don't want to miss out on this awesome opportunity. And I'm hoping this will kind of start a tradition for us to go every year. So, you know that for the last few weeks, every Tuesday, when we do our live dives, we kind of give a preview of our Engage Wednesday night series that we've been having for the last few weeks. And Engage is all about how do we, in a relevant way, share the gospel, especially to those in our generation. And so we've been answering questions like, what exactly is the gospel? And why do we share the gospel? And even last week, we talked about how do we defend the gospel. But now for the next 3 weeks, we're going to finally specifically focus on, very simply, how do I share the gospel? How do I share the gospel? And specifically today, we're going to be talking about the importance of, first, kind of rethinking or reshaping our approach to witnessing. Witnessing can be one of the most stressful, nerve-wracking things for us as believers to do. We just get nervous, we don't really know what to say, or we're afraid to look stupid. But really, I think the first thing we need to do, the first key, or the first step, I guess you could say, is simply that we need to start rethinking our approach to this. We need to do that so it makes it a little bit easier on us to be able to share the gospel with others. And so the first step in rethinking our approach is very simply to follow Christ, to follow his example. Christ told his disciples to do just that in Luke chapter 9, verse 23. He said this, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross daily, and follow me. So Christ is very simply saying, hey, follow my example. And there's two ways. He gives us two ways to follow his example. One is to deny yourself. In other words, don't put yourself first, but put others before you. And also to take up your cross, to take up your struggles and to carry your cross as Christ carried his cross. It was kind of a bit of a prophecy there of Christ talking about carrying the cross. And here's the thing, that if we seek Christ first, if we seek to follow his example above everything else, the rest of things will line up for us. Again, Christ told his disciples that in Matthew chapter 6, verse 33. He said this, but seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things to you. And so one of the things that will be added unto you if you seek God first, if you seek to follow Christ first, one of the things that will be added unto you is simply being a more effective witness, somebody that can really, truly have an awesome testimony and be able to share the gospel of Christ easier to the people around us. And the key to all of that as well is to simply accept the fact that is very important to accept, and that's this. If you're a Christian, you are an advertisement for Jesus Christ. I came across an article or a blog written by a woman named Veronica Alayar. Veronica is a Filipino woman who was actually a news anchor in the Philippines, but she actually passed away last year in a tragic death. But I came across a blog that she wrote talking about being an advertisement for Christ. And she said this, that as Christians who profess to love God and follow Him, we are walking, talking, breathing billboards for Christ, whether we like it or not. And I thought, man, that's such an important truth, such an awesome piece of advice for us to remember that we are literally walking billboards for Christ. And in order for us to be a good advertisement, a good billboard for Jesus Christ, is to follow His example in behaviors, how we talk, how we act. And so that's something for you to think of. Obviously, we eventually need to share the gospel with people, to witness to them. And we also need to develop relationships with those people around us. But the first step is to be an example by following the example of Christ. Does that make sense? You can be an example by following the example of Christ. And that's the first step. Now, we will continue this discussion tomorrow night in our Wednesday night Engage class. Be sure to come on out to the First Free Will Baptist Church of Tampa at 7 p.m. every Wednesday. And we will be continuing our Engage series, specifically talking about how do we share the gospel. But until then, guys, have a good night. See you tomorrow night, and God bless.